What's going on, everybody? It's Monday afternoon. Just got home from work and down here in the old basement, chilling, and actually not chilling, working. Get some things taken care of. Got a lot of mess sitting everywhere, as I always do. Seems like I can't ever keep things clean and straight, but you know how that goes. But just want to throw a few things out there, and then I'm gonna do another video here in a minute about something totally off topic. Or totally not beer related. But anyway, right now I'm getting ready to keg a beer. The got the old corny keg sanitizer in there. Getting it sanitized. Oh, I actually am drinking one of my latest, which is called Spilled Milk. It's an IPA. It's all Centennial. It was based on that Bell's Two Hearted recipe on Homebrew Talk. I think it was Uper's recipe, but not Uper's. I can't remember whose it was, but I haven't really done a side-by-side. We do have Bell's in our area, and I buy it occasionally, but I haven't done a side-by-side. I doubt it's close, like most of my clones aren't usually close, but it's a really good beer. Easy drinking IPA. It's not too over the top. And I'm getting ready to keg the what I'm going to call the One Eye Shut IPA, which should be turned around, come out to around 9%. I haven't checked my final gravity yet, but be interesting to see how this beer turns out. That's the one I made a few weeks ago. I was dog tired when I made it and just kind of threw stuff together. Didn't do my double batch sparge, missed my numbers on my efficiency. My pre-boil, was way low because I single batch sparge because I was lazy that day. And so I ended up putting in like 8 ounces of dry malt extract and 8 ounces of corn sugar to boost the ABV in the boil. And it was still just a little bit low than what it should be, but it was still pretty high. I think it was like 1070s, high 1070s, 1076, 1078, somewhere around there. So I don't know how it's going to finish out, but should be on up there alcohol-wise anyway. But it's all Centennial too, except for the 60-minute boil, and I think it was Warrior or Magnum. I can't remember which one, but anyway, it's going in the keg today. And other than that, what have I got going on beer-wise? I got a brewed October. I actually did this video when I brewed this Oktoberfest, but the video sucked, so I don't think I'm going to edit it and put it up. So I just kind of am doing it again. But last Wednesday, I brewed actually on a Wednesday. I usually brew on the weekend, Saturday or Sunday. But we've had some really busy weekends, and actually my kegerator's full. I've still got the nut brown ale in there, which really sucks. Sorry to say, I don't like it at all. I missed my numbers on it. It was too thin. It's got a weird taste to it. I don't know if it's because the hops are coming out too much, and I don't know, there's just something weird I don't like about it. Maybe I just need to let it sit. I'm thinking about just taking it out of the kegerator and letting it sit in the keg for a while. Have any of you ever done that after you got it in the keg and realized it just needs more time to condition? I don't even know how long it's been in there. It's been a few weeks. So that may be one that just needs to come on out and sit in the corner somewhere for a month or two and put it back and see how it does. But we'll see. But anyway, there's 2 on tap in there right now. The nut brown that I was just telling you about, and my God, my mind is gone. Spilled milk that I'm drinking. That's the 2 that's in the kegerator, and this one I'm getting ready to keg will go in there, which is the One-Eyed Open, or One-Eyed Shut, I guess is what I just call it, IPA. So that'll fill up the kegerator. And so this Oktoberfest that I brewed last Wednesday, I've been wanting to brew it, and I just hadn't got around to it, and so I decided to come home from work Wednesday and jump on it. And the night before, I crushed my grains and got my hot liquor tank filled up with the water I needed and got everything as ready as I could for the brew day when I got home from work, and jumped on it. And I got started about 4:30 and was done by 9:30. So it went pretty smooth for my first afternoon brew that I've had. But it's not a lager Oktoberfest like most Oktoberfest are. It's one that came from another recipe that came from Homebrew Talk. I think it's Ed Wart's his name. He's really popular. Had a lot of popular recipes, and so it's an Oktoberfest using an ale yeast And I'm looking down here at my sheet so I can tell you the grain bill if you've never been to Homebrew Talk and seen it. It's 5 pounds. This is a 5-gallon batch. Anytime I do a new recipe that I've never tried, I always do 5 gallons, even though I can do 10. Just because if it sucks really bad, I don't want to waste 5 gallons, 10 gallons or whatever. But anyway, it's a 5-gallon batch. 5 pounds of Vienna malt, 5 pounds of Pilsner, 2 pounds of Munich, 8 ounces of Crystal 60, and 8 ounces of Cara Vienna. And for the hops, it was, which I had to change mine around for the alpha acidity that I had on hand. So it was, mine was 3/4 ounce of Tettnang at 60 minutes, and like 0.8 ounces of Hallertauer at 30 minutes, and 0.83 ounces of Hallertauer at 15 minutes. I guess is the way you pronounce that noble hop. Trying to think what the IBU is supposed to be. I don't think it shows the total IBU on this sheet I've got. But I had to adjust it anyway from Ed Wark's recipe because, like I say, my hops were off from what he had. So, but yeah, I hit my numbers on it. Everything went great. Double batch sparge. When I do it right, I usually hit 70 to 72% efficiency, somewhere around there with my system. So, and I always double batch sparge. Do my first runnings pretty slow, and like I say, do the batch sparge twice and rinse everything really good. And that's about all I can get, 70 to 72% efficiency. There's some things I'm going to try down the road, maybe to boost it up to 75, 80%. Try to, just some things just to be doing, because I don't want to get too complacent. And, you know, I know in home brewing, 70 to 80% is great. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. And you're not going to save, you know, a couple of bucks or whatever on grain if you boost your efficiency in home brewing. Of course, if you're a commercial brewer, you want the best efficiency you can get. But I still like to bump it up, or try to bump it up, and, you know, see what I can do different with what I got. But anyway, I won't go into that now. But anyway, this Oktoberfest, it's in the primary for a week at 65 degrees, and then I'll drop it down to 60. I think is what the recipe called for. Drop it down to 60 for 2 weeks, and then cold crash it for a day or whatever, and then keg it and let it sit for 2 months. So I was wanting to get this done so it'd be ready for the 1st of October, but that ain't gonna happen. So maybe by the end of October I'll get to try it, and I'll show you. It's in the. I'll go ahead and show you it's in my fermenter in here, and it's the only thing in my fermenter because I'm getting kind of ahead of myself for a change and got a little pipeline going. And I'm showing you because I'll show you what else I'm doing with my fermenter. My Johnson controller that most of you know I have if you watch my videos. There's my chest freezer and my Johnson controller. And in the past, I've always just let my temperature probe dangle out in the air and pick up the ambient temperature. And so one of the things that I'm doing that I probably should have done from the get-go is to put the probe on the side of the carboy, or bucket in this case, and insulate it with some cardboard. Some people use cardboard, some people use bubble wrap or just insulation or whatever, just to, you know, get it up against the carboy and try to get as close to that the real temps of the wort that's going on, especially, you know, the first few days of active fermentation, when that wort can go as much as anywhere from 2 to 8 degrees, I guess, depending on your activity. From what I've read, higher, you know, in the wort than it is in ambient temperature. So to better control my temps, I've started doing that, and the only problem that presents is doing, you know, like the same styles at one time. So like right now, you know, this is at 65 degrees. Here in 2 days, I'm going to drop it down to 60. So if I've got another beer that I want to do in the upper 60s or whatever, a different temperature or whatever it may be, I really can't do it. And that's one of the sucky things about this. So I can get three buckets in here, so I could do 15 gallons. I can only brew 10 gallons at a time, unless I just done like a 2 brew day and done a 10 gallon, 5 gallon batch. But I don't know. It's kind of sucky in a way that I have to do it this way, and I can't really do several different beers at once. You know, after one's going, and I need a different temperature. But I'm almost thinking about getting like a really small 5 cubic foot chest freezer and another Johnson controller to be able to have something else, going. Or I may, I've talked about getting another chest freezer and converting it to a keezer and just using my refrigerator that I use now for my kegerator as a fermentation chamber. So I don't know what I'll do, but like I say, this is going to be tied up for at least another 2 weeks and 2 days, somewhere around there. So I really don't want to put nothing else in here and mess this beer up because I want to keep my temperatures right. Temperature is critical, y'all. I know a lot of people struggle with, they don't even have fermentation chambers like a chest freezer or whatever, and you use ice or whatever you use to control your temps. But mash temps and fermenting temps are the two most critical parts of your brewing process, I think, after all I've read and absorbed over these years, like over this year and a half, 2 years I've been brewing. But everything you read and hear from, especially from the professionals and the podcast I listen to and everything from, Jamil and all the guys that know what they're talking about, temperature control, especially with your mash temps and fermentation temps. But anyway, that's enough about that. Also, what I've started doing, like, let's see, 2 weeks ago, I brewed my frozen toes, and so I had it in here for 2 weeks. For 2 weeks. And when I brewed this, I needed to drop this temperature way down. And this is, this really explains to you what I was talking about. So when this Oktoberfest was brewed that, last week, I still had the frozen toes in here at like 65 degrees. Well, that chest freezer, when that probe's taped beside to this fermenter here, it's going to drop the ambient temperature in this chest freezer down probably in the 50s to try to equalize that temperature. Hope that makes sense. I hope I'm not rambling too much, but so I didn't really want to put this Oktoberfest in here with the frozen toes. So, from what I've been reading and everything, the frozen toes was at like 65 degrees, and the fermentation was done pretty much. It's just cleaning up right now. So I started moving everything into my man cave in here, into this part of the basement, where it stays at around 67, 68 degrees. So that's what I've started doing after things are done in the chest freezer. Even if I need to raise the temperature by moving it in here for 3 or 4 or 5 degrees, I think all that does is going to help clean up the beer anyway. So the 2 buckets up front, that's the 10 gallons of frozen toes that I just did. I just dry hopped those yesterday, so in another week they'll go in the keg. And then this is the one, the one-eyed closed batch, 5-gallon batch that I'm fixing to keg tonight. So like I say, doing that and having this room down here where it stays, around 67, 68 degrees, that helps me at least free up my chest freezer, so I don't have to worry about that too much. But like I say, I hope all that makes sense. I tend to ramble and not think ahead about what I'm going to say, but if you don't get it, just comment and we'll talk about it. But yeah, I guess that's all I got to say about brewing right now. I'm itching to buy some stuff. I want to, you can spend money on home brewing equipment all day long, but I'm thinking about getting a therminator or some kind of plate chiller instead of using the old immersion chiller, which does really good for 5-gallon batches. But for 10-gallon batches, it does take a little while, and I have to sit there and stir it and blah, blah, blah. But damn, to drop $200 on a therminator, or I know there's cheaper ones out there, but I don't know if I want to make that investment, because something else I hadn't really talked about. Actually, I mentioned it, but I never could show you. I still got to clean my keg out from my last brew day. I haven't completely cleaned out. I mentioned this, but I haven't really shown you. I took my dip tube. This is my boil kettle, and it was going to the center here, so I could pick up everything from the center after I cooled down and went over to my fermenters. It would pick up everything, and I thought I would try whirlpooling. And again, this is one of those things I said, I didn't really care about whether I was getting hot material or cold break into my fermenters, but like I said, I didn't want to become so complacent that I didn't really care or try to improve my beers. So why not try to improve them? It's not that much of an adjustment to try to do things. But so what I did was change my dip tube from over from the middle over to the side, just for like I've done it twice now, and I think I've went over too far because I lost like a half a gallon from doing it this way. It was like a half a gallon left, obviously, which you can tell it's pretty good far away from the middle there with that bowl, the way the kegel, is got that bowl down in the bottom. It's quite a bit left over, and I did leave some. I done a whirlpool. It's hard to do a whirlpool with a mash paddle and 10 gallons, and with 5 gallons, it was okay, but I think I need to adjust that thing to where it's a little bit closer to the center, so I don't lose so much beer, because it's just a waste to me. But and I know I can hook it up and rig it up and use my March pump, and create a whirlpool if I wanted to do some recirculating or something like that. But I don't know what I'll do or which route I'll take. That's just something I want to try and fiddle with. I get bored really easy, and as much as I love brewing, I just want to try different things, but I don't want to try a lot of different things and start screwing stuff up and not know which process or whatever I changed screwed it up, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, but that may be one thing I try. I may move that dip tube a little further in, or I may look into putting another valve in here and hooking up the old March pump that I already have up, and doing a little whirlpool or something, so I can use, because I don't want to use a plate chiller unless I can get pretty clear wort coming out of there, because I don't have to deal with clogging and everything, which really is, I didn't even mention, that's the main reason why I'm worried about whirlpooling or whatever it is I do. And I know there's hot blockers, I know there's strainers, and I was looking at one today. It's like $130 for some kind of inline hop and cold break strainer, and I'm looking at that, and I don't know, man. It's one of them things where you don't want to spend $150, $200 on something and it's a waste. But yeah, I don't know what route I'll take, but I'm gonna try something different. And my buddy, man, he's about ready to. I'll throw this out there. My buddy Spear, he's about ready to start brewing. He's been coming over and hanging out with me on several of my brew days, learning the process, and got him some kegs and got his equipment. He's about to get it all figured out and straightened out, and got him a mash tun made out of a 10-gallon round cooler and his false bottom and all that stuff. And that's something I may do. I may try a false bottom in the bottom of mine. I know they make them for kegels, but yeah, Dan, that's one thing we're going to do is have a brew day here in Spear. He's going to have his first brew day and get his under his belt, and he's got his kegerator built already, and I've been splitting my 10-gallon batches with him, and so that's exciting to watch another brewer progress. And who knows, maybe one day get old town of Mayberry have a bunch of brewers where we can actually have a brew club around here. But man, that's all I got, I think. Like I said, I just thought I'd come home and turn on a video camera and talk to you. But yeah, I want to show you something else here in a minute. I may probably do it here in a minute, and something like, say, totally non-beer related, just see what you think about. But all right, questions, comments about any of this stuff I've just rambled on about. I don't know how long this has went, but appreciate you coming by the channel, and questions, comments, lay them on me later.